What does bankruptcy mean? Action. Hi there, I'm Trevor, the EIDL expert. Did your small business receive a COVID EIDL from the SBA during the pandemic? Then this video is going to be a very valuable source of clarity and accurate information for you. If you're a small business owner who did not receive a COVID EIDL, you should watch our other channel called Simple Sense for Small Business, where we teach you about all the mundane, basic stuff you need to know to run a business. There are hundreds of free videos over there, so please click on through. I'm here today to define bankruptcy. I did a 1-hour consulting call last week with a young man who owns 2 businesses, and one of those businesses received a COVID EIDL, the other business did not. The business with the COVID EIDL is suffering. He's in the trucking industry and things are just not happening for that business. And the purpose of the call is he wanted to know what his options were in terms of managing repayment. First thing I asked him if he had participated in the Hardship Accommodation program or the current 6-month 50% reduced payment assistance program. We discussed that. We discussed how to apply for that. But the longer term picture for him is that this challenge he's facing is not temporary. The business is basically done and finished. There is no possibility of really recovering that business to any kind of reasonable revenue levels. And so we turned the direction of the conversation on the 1-hour call to discussing what to do next. Well, the SBA does not allow what the IRS allows, which is called offer in compromise, which essentially is you say to the SBA, hey, I owe you $75,000. I've got $10,000. Let's settle it and call it a day. You can do that with the IRS. You can negotiate an offer in compromise. That's what it means. You make an offer to the IRS, and in compromise, they agree to accept a certain payment and basically, let the rest of it go. It's not forgiveness, because whatever doesn't get paid gets added back into income in the form of a 1099-C. The SBA does not allow this procedure currently, and therefore the only option, if you're watching our videos and hearing valid advice from experts, is to hire an attorney and file a bankruptcy. If, on the other hand, you're reading Reddit, God bless you, because and I've got a video coming up soon about Reddit, because I waded into that cesspool of misinformation and inaccuracy recently, and I think some of my hair fell out. It's attempting to be a valid resource. The problem is, and we've said this since the days of the pandemic, just because you have a certain kind of experience, not backed up with any experience in this field at all, just your experience with the loan or with the SBA or with the program as a business, and what are the unique features of your business in relation to the loan. And then you're going to go on the internet and give advice to people? No, this is not like driving a car, where in the United States we all basically drive the car the same way. Some states and some localities, cities and towns have kind of unique rules, but essentially you got to put a seatbelt on, you have to drive the speed limit, you have to stop at a red light. There are basic rules. You can go on Reddit and you can discuss that with authority because you drive a car probably. Even if you don't drive a car, you probably have some basic understanding. Not so with the EIDL program. Remember, 4 million of these loans were made, and many of the business owners, in our view, had never had experience borrowing money prior to the pandemic. And now you're going to trust those folks on an internet chat room to give you advice? No. The commonality of experience that is shared in that online forum is not a valid source of information. I'm not saying you shouldn't look there at all. Well, yes, I am saying that. Don't look there at all. But if you do, please don't just take it with a grain of salt. Take it with like a pound of salt, because you can't rely on that to be an accurate source of information. Hopefully you feel the same way many of our folks in our audience do, that we provide clarity and accuracy here. The elements of bankruptcy, and I must state I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice, so please consult with an attorney. And if you need to find an attorney, I just did a video recently about attorneys. Please watch that. And we've done previous videos about bad advice from attorneys. Please watch that. We have a guidebook we created, a very low-cost guidebook to help you, use my experience from 30 years in the real estate mortgage industry in the New York area, where every transaction was done with attorneys. So I've dealt with thousands of attorneys, and I've seen first-time buyers and sellers of houses make really bad mistakes hiring the wrong attorney. You know, somebody's selling a house and they bought it in 1963 for $30,000, and now they're selling it, 30 years later in 1992 for $210,000. Yeah, that was actually my house, my first house that I bought. And the attorney who represented the seller was terrible. I don't know where they got that attorney from, but he was a terrible attorney. And I've seen this firsthand so many times. And so I did a video recently to encourage you to pick the right attorney. But again, I'm not an attorney, this is not legal advice, but the essential framework of bankruptcy is like this. If you have a COVID EIDL and you have a corporate umbrella, it's an LLC, corporation, partnership, LLP, you are protected under that corporate veil from personal guarantee if your loan is less than $200,000. If your loan is greater than $200,000, you have a personal guarantee. If you are a sole proprietor or an independent contractor or a business, a group of people who have a business, but there's no formal business entity, doesn't matter the loan amount. It could be $10,000. You have guaranteed that loan personally because you are personally liable for the debt. Therefore, if there's a personal guarantee element in any of those situations I just described, then you would file a bankruptcy, not just for the business, but also a personal bankruptcy. That is what your attorney who you hire for a bankruptcy will probably recommend. Next element about bankruptcy that you need to know, and you're going to ask this of the attorney, I find it impossible to believe that the judge is going to take your house. I find it impossible to believe the judge is going to take your car. I find it impossible to believe that if you own this business with a COVID EIDL and it has a problem, you're filing a bankruptcy to discharge this debt, that the other business you have an interest in would also be affected. They are completely separate entities. Again, please check with an attorney to confirm this. If you need help finding one, buy our guidebook. Description below. Click on the word more where it says more. It'll open up the full description. You see the links to all the products and services we have to offer. Also at EIDLconsulting.com. I did a previous video about shame. There is no shame in filing bankruptcy. It is a tool, the same as this candlestick is a tool to hold the candle. By the way, you like that candlestick? I picked that out. It's like a little set here. We were in a little thrift store near our house here in Connecticut, doing video actually for our other YouTube channel, which has been cooking away in the background without us paying much attention to it, called CT Road Trips. We went to a little vintage and knickknack store and I picked those out. But bankruptcy is a tool, just like this candlestick holder is a tool. That's all bankruptcy is. It is a tool for you to wipe the slate clean. Stop approaching it with so much emotion. Watch my video about shame and try to step yourself back and bring yourself into the place of logic. Think of changing a tire on your car. That's what bankruptcy is, except you got to deal with a court and you got to hire an attorney and it's going to cost you some money. Please be careful hiring the attorney. We are seeing attorneys advertising on the internet saying that they will do offer in compromise instead of bankruptcy. That is not a thing for the COVID EIDL. There is no offer in compromise available for the COVID EIDL program. If an attorney says that to you, hang up the phone. Here's what a woman told me on a recent 1-hour consulting call. She's based in Florida, but she has a business up in Washington State. And that business has failed after the pandemic and must file bankruptcy. Plus there's a personal guarantee on that loan. Corporate protection, personal guarantee, greater than $200,000. Contacts an attorney in Washington State. First thing that attorney says is, well, let's just file a personal bankruptcy and leave it at that. Hang up the phone. That's bad advice. Find the right attorney, okay? The right attorney will show you with respectful language and respectful tone, like the way I'm talking to you now, how bankruptcy works. A bankruptcy attorney on a 1-hour consulting call with me a few months ago explained to me that each court, it's a federal court for bankruptcy, and they each have their own circuit or their own district in your state, and there may be multiple circuits or districts in your state. So you must hire an attorney who is allowed, is permitted, I think what they call admitted, to practice bankruptcy law in that specific court. If you hire an attorney from outside that circuit or district, they may not be able to represent you. So that's one of your questions. You also want to make sure the attorney has experience or knowledge of the COVID EIDL. This, I find, is the biggest problem. That attorney, once you get the right attorney, they will explain how it works. The court assigns a trustee. The trustee is going to basically do a fundamental forensic examination of your books and records, how you spent the COVID money, and what other assets the business has, so that the trustee, and a bankruptcy attorney explained this to me on a 1-hour consulting call with one of our clients, the trustee actually gets paid a percentage of any funds they can recover from the business to lower the amount of money that's discharged in bankruptcy. Okay? If you are filing only a business bankruptcy and there's no personal guarantee and you're not doing a personal bankruptcy, this will not appear on your personal credit report, and we've done videos about credit previously. I ask you to take the appropriate caution and care in moving forward, and more than that, remove fear and shame and anxiety from the process. What bankruptcy is going to do for you, it's going to take all that fear and anxiety and shame, it's going to throw it out, and you're going to sleep better at night. That's what I'm here to do as the EIDL expert, to teach you the things you need to know about the COVID EIDL to help you have a more positive experience every day and not worry so much. Once again, if you'd like to book a call with me, go to the description below the video, and where it says more, click on that. It will open up the full description. You'll see a link to book a call. You'll see a link to buy our guidebook, How to Find an Attorney. You'll see a link to buy our guidebook about bankruptcy and your COVID EIDL and all our other products and services. I'm Trevor, the EIDL expert. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the video. I'll see you next time.